everyone, I'm Jan from Sew It Online in Pins and Needles in Cleveland, Ohio. And I want to show you today and answer some questions as to what's a serger about, because people email me and text me all the time, and quite honestly I want to do it all at one time so you can learn and everybody can see what it is and I won't have to write it down all the time. A serger has been out by the Babylock company. They were the originators of it, I would say 35 years ago. And they scared the hell out of me back then. And they weren't anything big deal, but they scared us, believe me. But as soon as you got it threaded back in the day, oh my gosh, you never did anything but serge. So a serger has been by my side continually for all my sewing career for probably the last 35 years for sure. There's not a project that I don't do serging with, more than likely. And I wouldn't bother to sew anymore if I didn't have a serger. So for some of you that don't know anything, let me go over the basics. What a serger does is it has a knife here. So there's a knife going up and down. Can you see it right here going up and down? And as that knife is going, it's cutting my threads and finishing my machine and doing my stitch for me. I'm going to do it on a piece of denim to make sure it shows up for you. So here it's cut, and there's my seam. If you want to know what I'm talking about, just look on the inside of your t-shirt or inside of your slacks. They're all made commercially with an overcasting stitch done on a serger of some type for positive to be able to do it. The knife cuts it and makes it very, very clean for you to be able to do it. So that's what a serger does. Now, how a serger works, we're going to open it up a little bit and show you what we're talking about so you can kind of understand it. I'm sure you've ran a sewing machine before in your life, and there's a needle that goes down, and then there's a bobbin that goes around, and a thread gets like this, and it makes a straight stitch, and the feed dogs underneath feed the material through, so we get stitching, right? So we're using the same thing. We have feed dogs. We have extended feed dogs on it so that I can just lay my fabric here and it grabs it, so that I never have to lift up my presser foot very often at all. So you do have a presser foot lifter here, but very seldom do I use it. So extended feed dogs is one of the things you got to make sure you get. So now what happens, and I'm going to see if we can zero in here a little bit, but I've got two needles right here and here. Notice that they're not the same length. They're the same needles, but they're a different length, just so that when you set yours up, you're going to know. Now we have a top looper, which is a needle or a looper that goes over, and we have what we call a bottom looper. So these loopers are metal loopers that go like this, one on top of the fabric, okay, and one on the bottom of the fabric. Do you get it? So then we have the two needles that go down and make the whole knots. So said, oh my gosh, how hard is it to thread it? It used to be hard. Babylock has made it very, very, very simple now and very, very easy to do. So where you have to thread your machine just like you did 4 times on a regular sewing machine, you had to thread the needles and you had to thread the bobbin. Okay, remember, I'm never going to have to wind a bobbin, so that's, to me, worth everything. But I'll show you what Babylock has done on it is they have made jet air threading. And since they did this, they made the serger so much easier to use. They aren't fearful at all. So these two loopers down here, I'm going to unthread. There are no threads caught in them at all right now. And you can do the needles the same way, but you know how to thread needles, so I don't have to show you that part. I do bring them up, get them out of my way. Oops, one more time. Kind of hard doing on camera. Okay, so to thread the needles, you're doing nothing more than going around and threading needles. No big deal at all. The loopers are always what the headaches are. So what I'm going to do is to peel off, cut off, and you've got little tubes right here. So as we look right here, I'm going to push this button in, and there's these tubes that are going to come out. So you just see how I'm going to turn the hand wheel. There we go. And there's tubes that went through for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off my thread, a little bit of spit, never hurt nothing, give it a little bit of stiffness, and I'm going to put that in. Now I got to put it over here to upper. There's an upper button and a lower button. So all I'm going to do is put it in here, down about a ½ inch, and I push this lever right here. I hope you can see it. It's going to come, now watch your eyes right here, pull off enough thread that it's got enough room to get through those tunnels over there. So now as I push it, pop, thread's pulled all the way through, my looper is threaded. Easy, easy, easy. So now I have to go to the lower looper. All I do is move it over to lower, do the same thing. I like about a ½ inch down in the tube is what I usually do. See how nice the tweezers work? It's a little bit skinnier than my hand. And I'm going to pull off enough to make sure that it can get all the way around there and all the way back. So now all I do is push the button. See, I didn't have enough. So I'm going to pull it, and you're watching right here. Boom. See how it came right through for me? Now, you got to admit that's pretty doggone cool. What the other joy of what the Babylocks have done is they made it very, very simple. You don't have to change very much to do the different things. So now I just have to thread my needles. Oops. Where's my presser foot? There we go. Thread my needles. So I show you how it's done all the way. Now the knife can be down or up, depending on what you're doing. I use it probably 95% of the time with a knife engaged. I wouldn't want you to not engage the knife until you knew what you were doing. But sometimes we put lace on and trims on, and we will engage the knife. But let's give it. We have a full class on this and how to do all kinds of different projects on sewitonline.com. We've done an entire Serger school for you so that you can learn tricks and you can go ahead and do projects with us. I'm threaded. So do you see my feed dogs down here? So just to check it. Now, all I got to do is to push this lever back, and it's going to take those tubes and release them back. That's all I have to do. Close her up, close her up. This machine will not sew unless it's closed up, which is a wonderful feature. And I'm sewing, and voila, I'm done. Now, you've just seen me take a machine apart and do all the hard things, and I bet you if we timed it, it would be 3 to 4 minutes at the very, very most, and that's when I'm trying to keep my hands out of it and be careful that you're able to see. So it's nothing to be able to thread the sergers. The Celebrate is one of my favorite because it's the very lowest price you can get jet air threading in a 4-thread serger. So it's a very, very popular one to be able to use. Now, when you get to rolled hems, so we got a few dials here that I want you to know, and you're going to see, but you're going to learn it in your classes. What it's going to do for me is this one is going to determine the width. So if I would have wanted a stitch that was not as wide, but I still wanted a 4-thread, this adjusts, and you can see right here, it's adjusting the knife where it is so I can make a smaller stitch. But see, the M is normal. So M, perfect. That's where you're going to be for 99% of your sewing. Now, one of my favorite features on this machine is what else you can do with them. So let me just show you. A machine can do a rolled hem. And a rolled hem is what you see on napkins. You see it on scarves all the time. I make a lot of holiday gifts because scarves are always popular and they're very inexpensive to make, and they take me about 10 minutes top to bottom to make one of those big old long scarves to be able to do, but I want to do a very gorgeous edge on it, and this is called a rolled hem. So what we're doing is we have a choice. We will always use, you can do a 4-thread, but then I can change and either use the left needle or the right needle. I will still get my edges, but can you see that this is a beautiful edge put along here? But there's not two needles running down because it's decorative. I didn't want 2 needles. So I just used my right needle and I was able to do a nice edge all the way down here. Now when you go down to this, look at my skirt. If you get one of these sergers and you got anybody who will wear a twirly skirt, you are going to be the greatest friend ever, because let me tell you, they just love to run around in these things, and you're going to be able to show where we're going to gather and we're going to sew it on at the same time. How and cool is that? But do you see the rolled edge down here on the bottom? So this one's narrow, then this one is very narrow. This one's called rolled. Can you see the difference? It's a little bit wider. We just did this for fun, sewed pieces together. And then you can do your very, very tiny edges going along your napkins, your scarves. That's used a lot. And then I wanted to do a little bit of decorative on this placemat where we've got something a little wider. If I was going to do it around a blanket, like a fleece blanket, I'm going to use my left needle. When I want to go something like this and narrow, I'm going to use my right needle. Everything else works exactly the same. So that makes it really, really fun to be able to do it. When you go to rolled hem on this serger, it's the easiest thing. If you've ever tried sergers before, that's a pain in the butt, and normally you don't want to do it. So I'm going to cut this thread off for me. I'm going to just change over, if I got a screwdriver here. Tweezers make life wonderful. They're not as big as our fingers are. So all I did was take off the left needle. Remember, the left needle would have given me a wide stitch. I want to show you how simple it is to make a rolled hem on it, because I want you doing it. I want you to enjoy that part of the machine. So all that I did was I moved this bottom knob. It says standard, which is everyday sewing, or it says rolled hem. I mean, how simple can you get? That's all the things that I have to do with it. So let me show you what's going to happen now. If you can look real close, it's giving me a tiny, tiny, tiny edge. And I can make it as close together as I want to, but it's giving me a beautiful rolled edge all the way along there. You can't do on any other sewing machine, no matter how hard you tried, you can't do it. So just to be able to convert something from a regular stitch to a rolled hem is heavenly, and it's that easy to do. The last thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to take it off of a rolled hem, and this is one of my favorite things to do. And I would have set it up for a 4 thread, but I'm faking it through in front of you. But if I move this up to 2, this is called differential feet. And what happens is it's going to gather for me. Look what it's doing. It gathered as it sewed. So that's how I make all my skirts, and how fun these little guys are to be able to make, because we can gather and we can sew on at the same time. There's some extra accessories that you can get for the Celebrate. I strongly suggest you do it. What happens is there's a foot that will make this so it sews on flat on the bottom and ruffle on the top. There's a cording foot, there's a zipper foot, there's some really nice little things that we will teach you to be able to use. The A to Z class is on sewing machines, but we do have a course strictly on sergers. So we will be doing projects with you where you use these different features and being able to do it. The Celebrate is Babylock's lowest possible price that you're able to get the jet air threading. Now it's a good motor, same everything on it, but you're talking quality. So you're going to have this machine for a long, long, long time. So enjoy it. Make sure we have to have differential feed. We have to have extended feed dogs. We have to have full rotary solid state electronics. We have it all here. So it's a very simple machine to use, very easy machine to use, and I can't tell you enough what a treat it is to be able to own one of these. And I think you're going to use it all the time, and you're going to enjoy making a skirt or making a simple shirt or some home furnishings. You're going to enjoy it a whole lot more when you can just buzz it with your serger, because you're so excited and you're so proud of what you made, because everything comes out perfect. So treat yourself. Have a lot of fun. Stay with us. We'll keep teaching you. Thanks.